welcome to another Sprinterra video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the security infrastructure in Acumatica. So Acumatica at its core is a role-based system. So typically you're not going to be managing ad hoc security for each individual within your company. You're going to build out different roles, so kind of like profiles. So for example, you can see I've got administrator showing here, but like an AP clerk role, so versus an AP admin role, so the highest level of access within AP. And we've got all these different roles here. So for the different job functions or the different types of work that they're going to be performing, typically there's going to be a role out there that matches that. Now you can create unique roles, or you can create custom roles. You don't have to use all of what's out of the box, but a lot of these do come out of the box with Acumatica. And security in Acumatica is what I've heard called a la carte security, where a user's profile may be made up of 4 different roles. So let's say, for example, maybe I'm someone who's going to be doing some work on the AP side. So maybe I have an AP clerk role. Maybe I also am going to be doing some work, and I skipped past it, but on within cache. So maybe I also need some cache access as well. So you can have a profile made up of many different roles, and the abilities for those different roles stack. So if you have 5 different roles, you're going to have the abilities and the access from all of the 5 different roles. So it's going to combine together into your overall access. Okay, so it's not something where, like I said, you don't have to go through and for each individual user, give them access to these 100 screens or anything like that. You'll have the roles pre-built, and then you'll assign the roles as needed. Typically, the roles are fairly specific. That way, you can have a pretty tight grip on security, and you have a pretty good idea of the fact that people can or cannot see what they should or they should not be able to see. Now, currently I'm on a screen called access rights by role. So as I select a certain role, I can determine what its access rights are. So if I realize, for example, that the AP clerk had access beyond what they should, I could come in here, select their role, and then it's going to show me all the different modules and areas of the system down here. And if you click into each one of them, so AP clerk, for example, we'd expect they have pretty strong access within payables. But if you click into each one of them, now it's going to show you every screen, report, form, etc. within the payables module. So if I look at this AP clerk, I can see that they have, so this is their level of access. I can see delete, I can see a lot of granted showing up. I see a view only, I see one that's revoked, and we've got different levels of access here. So this gives me a very quick idea just by scrolling through what I can expect that a user who has this AP clerk role, what I can expect that they'll see. So if I look at the payables module and I hit show all, you'll see all these different screens. These are going to be managed all within this area for the vast majority of them. But wanted to talk a little bit about what these different access rights mean. So you'll notice if I click on this one, for example, I'm showing delete, insert, edit, view only, revoked. If I click on this one, I'm seeing only granted and revoked. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this. So let's start with this scenario since it's the simplest. So granted and revoked, you'll see these 2 options for those areas of the system which are reports. So it's more of a you either see it or you don't. There's no really interaction with it. There's no transaction you're posting from it, nothing along those lines. So in these cases, if it's just a report, it's granted or revoked. So you'll notice this is 1099 year details, right? And if I go into payables and I look up for this 1099 year details and I open it up, we're just going to see that this is actually a report form. So it's not something that there's any interaction with the user in the screen to actually create an impact in the system. They're just purely going to run the report. Now, these other screens where you're seeing view only, you're seeing these other areas. Let's take accounts payable preferences, for example. This is a screen where you're actually impacting the system. So there are different levels of access that you could have. So we'll talk through what each of these means. So in Acumatica, delete is your highest level of access. It means you can do everything including delete documents. You can make changes, you can save changes, you can see everything, and you'll also be able to add new records and delete new records. Now, insert is the next level down from that. You can do everything with the exception of you cannot remove anything from the system on this particular screen, of course. So this is saying you can make changes, you can view everything, you can add a new record, but what you can't do is you can't remove anything from the system for this particular screen. So that's what insert represents. Next, you have edit, which means you can make changes and save changes. You can see everything on this screen. But what you cannot do is you cannot create a new record and you cannot remove an existing record. So that's the third tier down. Next, you have view only, which means you can see it, but you can't do anything with it as far as you can't transact, you can't add a new record, you can't make changes. And then finally, revoked. So if it's something that's revoked, like we see here, this 1099 non-employee compensation form, revoked means this you cannot see it. So the AP clerk in this case would not be able to see that 1099 NEC form. So those are the different levels of access within Acumatica, and we'll have future videos where we go into more depth on user security as a whole. But again, appreciate your time for coming here and being with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.